Who's your emergency contact? Who should we notify in case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I spent the last 2+ decades of my life. I'm in bloody Beaumont. And as you guys already heard, not just through me, but through everybody that try to share stories of this nature, that bloody Beaumont earned its reputation. It didn't matter what the issue was, what the politic was. Everybody over there was a little more prone to violence than some of the other yards I've been to. But every penitentiary is like that. You're in a hostile environment with miserable people that's got decades and life sentences to do. So a lot of times that shit's just for wreck, because hell, we're stuck in a box. You know, there's some people that come through the system because they're big or because they know how to fight. They might feel like they might be above the politics. But I'm here to tell you, no one is above the politics. It don't matter who you are, don't matter what you are, how bad you are. When you fuck up or when you don't respect the politics, you didn't get it, you know? So in this particular episode, they had an independent white boy that came on the yard, and he went upstairs in CB. He was in the unit with my buddy Rudy. So this story is related to me through him. You know, they put him in there with a DWB. DWB is Dirty White Boys. Now, the Dirty White Boys was a force in the feds when I first went in. I don't know at what point in time where they fell off, but when you come through the system back in the 90s, early 2000, it may be even earlier on than that but you know, those things I can't speak on because I wasn't there. But when you come through the system, as far as the white boy gangs go, outside of the brand is the Aryan Brotherhood, you always hear about the DWB. I had a good friend, his name was Mike Flanagan. I was with him in Lompoc in 2001. He was celly with my other good friend, Chuck. And when I met him, he was serving a life sentence. But he didn't start out serving a life sentence. If I can remember correctly, he only had a few years left to the house. I want to say 5 or 7 years, or maybe even less. But he didn't have a life sentence. But while we're there in Florence, USP, they had to go discipline their homeboy for whatever reason. You know, maybe it was a dope bill or he did something to violate their policies or rules. So Mike Flanagan, him and another DWB, they went into the cell to discipline their homeboy. So when they went over there to go punish him, to go DP him, Mike Flanagan had him in a chokehold while the other guy is beating on him. Well, like I say, when you're in that moment in time, you're not really conscious of what's going on and what you're doing. And a lot of times, people that's in conflict like that, you really kind of like fall into a trance because your sole focus is your safety, your security, and doing whatever is necessary to ensure that. You know, they had to put the guy in a chokehold because I'm sure he was going to try to fight back. So when they go DP somebody even though it's their own homeboy and it's just disciplinary. Well, for your viewers that are viewing this, if you're a grown-ass man, a grown-ass woman, you're not going to stand there and just let somebody beat up on you. So for the DP to be successful, they had to go in there with force. Well, Mike Flanagan had him in a chokehold while the other guy is beating on the dude. And then when they were done, Mike Flanagan let the guy go. The guy fell down and didn't get back up. He wasn't really conscious that he had the guy in a chokehold and cut off his circulation, the blood going to his brain for so long that it killed him. They didn't go into that cell with the intention of killing their own friend. A lot of people don't go into a situation expecting the worst outcome. They always think, a lot of times they always think that maybe things are going to work out the way it's supposed to. That's why through the course of my time, I made it real simple for myself. I drew a line. I can accept everything that gets to this point. But once it gets to this point, I've already made up my mind that this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to react to this. So if these lines that I've drawn, if they're crossed, I'm not going over there to talk to you about it. Because you yourself, being in the penitentiary with the rest of us, understands that certain things are not acceptable and that certain actions demand certain reactions. So I'm not one of those individuals who is sensitive to certain things or have a complex. I understand my environment and I understand what it takes to survive in this environment. So for me not to be caught up in all the chaos and every little drama, tit for tat, I just made it very simple. I carried myself a certain way. I was respectful, honorable. So when the time comes that something needs to get done, something needs to be done, I arm myself with being the one on the right. That's not to say that I haven't, taken the shit end of certain deals or certain situation. You don't win them all. If somebody tries to sit here and tell you that you were always doing the right thing and that you were always winning your fights and stuff, I don't know what to tell you. But, everything doesn't always, for me, isn't always worth the extreme that a lot of people are quick to take it to. But at the same time, I always evaluate the situation. Am I able to move forward if I go ahead and take this loss? And when I say move forward, I mean move forward and continue to do my time the way I want to do it without other people perceiving that it was a weakness and then taking that opportunity to see how far they can push me. I've been fortunate enough that all the situations that I've been in, that I was able to resolve it in the right manner. And I say that now, even though sometimes during that moment, I didn't really feel it was the right thing because, when you get upset about certain things, it's hard to let go of the situation. But the proof that I dealt with that in the right manner because it never changed the way I interact with people, and it never changed the way people interact with me. So But a lot of people, they don't care because of the time they've been given in that situation. A lot of them are, in a way, looking for like an escape. Some people hang themselves. Some people do drugs and OD. And other people participate in high-risk activities where it could get them killed. But a lot of us in there, to a certain extent, is self-destructive. We interact and behave in ways that is detrimental to our health because we're in a environment that is filled with hopelessness. So when somebody sends someone to go DP their friend or whatever, they might not want to do it, but they understand the environment. If you refuse, then you become that guy that they're going to DP or X out. So you go, and now you're caught up in the moment. You're in a trance. And then when you snap out of it, it's too late. Your friend's dead. You were going home in a few years. But now you got a life sentence. I haven't seen Mike Flanagan since I left Lompoc. When I met him, he was a changed man. Not a lot of people can move away from their gang, move away from their organization without headaches. But Mike, he was a person that, through the course of his time when he was active, he was about his business. And his peers, his homeboys, they recognized that. So when the time came for Mike to say, I want to evolve and change my life and become a Christian, he was able to do that with the blessing of his homeboy. Because he was in Lompoc, USP. And in Lompoc, USP, it's jumping. And there was other DWB members there. And he didn't have any issue. So that tells you that, because there's not too many people that can move away from their gang and stay on that same yard. But they understood that Mike was a certain individual, a serious individual, and that when he made the commitment to change, that he was sincere about it. He wasn't running away from anything. He was just tired of it. And he just seen that it destroyed two lives, his friend's life and his own. When I met Mike, he became a Christian, but not one of those Christians that is always trying to preach to you about God, or one of those Christians that is trying to hide so they don't ever have to be called upon to put in work. He was an individual that was a believer. I'm not here to discuss religion and what you believe or what you're not. But, for me, no matter what it is that you believe, if you believe it and you put your effort into doing the things accordingly to that particular religion that you subscribe to, and you find that it helps you, that it helps your mind, that helps your heart, and give you peace, man, I'm all for it. I love seeing people that are sincere about their evolution. I got a little sidetracked there. I was about to tell you about the DWB in Florence. But when I mentioned the DWB, it reminded me of my friend Mike Flanagan. And, but his case is not the only case that's like that. There's a lot of individuals that go in there that only have a few years to do, but because of our environment and because of their political affiliation, they end up not being able to come home. And again, like I tell you, man, you might not agree with the things that people like me do or been through or been involved in. And you're entitled to your opinion. But understand that we as men, not as gangbangers, not as ex-convicts, but just as men in general, men. Not a male, but a man. We have standards. There's certain things we don't accept. We don't violate kids. We don't violate women. And we don't tell on people. Welcome to the USP.